Have you ever made your own lightning before? That's what we have here with this Van de Graaff generator. You can see the sparks jumping from one sphere to the other. The interesting thing about this Van de Graaff generator is that the device builds up a static charge in much the same way that you do when you stuff your feet against the carpet and then touch a doorknob or touch another person. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this Van de Graaff, show some more demonstrations and how it works. So one of the things that I like to do demonstrating this in school is to have students come up and try to touch the Van de Graaff generator when it's running. So if we have it turned on and I come up close, I like to use the back of my hand to start. I come up close, you'll see that it gives me a shock. So you hopefully can see that in the video. So it's giving me a shock there. Now, the shock is not really painful. If you're not used to it, you're not really expecting it, then it might surprise you a little bit, but it's not anything that's terribly painful. Part of the reason for this is because even though this is a very high voltage that it builds up, the amount of charge that's built up on the generator is not a huge amount of charge. So when it passes on to you, it's not enough charge to pass through your body and actually do damage or be dangerous. So that's a pretty interesting thing. Another demonstration you can try is to have somebody come up with the Van de Graaff generator on and put their hands on the globe, and if they have long, usually straight hair, you can get their hair to stand up. So we have the mannequin head here, and we can demonstrate the same idea. So you can see how the hair stands up. You should think about really why does that happen. The globe is passing on charge to the head, and that is then passing on to the hairs. Now the hairs are nice and light, and they're all charged with the same sign of charge. Maybe it's negative, maybe it's positive. Likely it's negative. But because all those hairs are negatively charged, they repel each other. And because hair is relatively light and easy to move, the hairs push apart as far apart as they can from each other because of that repulsive force. Another demonstration we can try is to put some aluminum pie plates on top of the Van de Graaff generator and then turn it on. So let's take a look. So you saw how the pie plates were all pushed off of the Van de Graaff generator one at a time. Again, same idea as the hair. They're repelling each other because of being the same sign of charge. So the top one gets pushed off, and then the next one, and so forth in a cascading fashion. Normally in school, we would also demonstrate shocking multiple students at once by passing the charge through many people. Here today, I'll show you how the charge can pass through me to this second globe. So I'm going to put my hand on the globe, turn the machine on, that will charge up my body, and then I'll touch this globe, and you'll see the charge pass on to it. And I think it's important that you listen carefully for a spark. You might not be able to see it every single time on the camera, so we'll give it a shot. I'll actually turn the light off for this too. Hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier to see. So the machine's on, my body's charging up charge, and then I bring my hand up to this globe, and I get a shock because the charge is passing from me over to this. So I'm using the globe right now, but I could touch other devices as well, and the same thing happens. So charge passes through me. If there were other students present, if I touched a student, they would receive a shock in much the same way. So this process of passing the charge through contact is charging by conduction. Let's take a look at how the Van de Graaff machine actually works. So what you have is a metal conductor that's just a spherical shaped dome. And then here you have, it's just a rubber belt that the motor spins. So this belt will turn like this at a high speed. And on the back, you have, it's like a cone-shaped clip. And what happens is the belt, as it spins, rubs up against this cone and passes on charge from the belt to this cone. The metal part of the cone here touches the globe. So any charges that build up from the belt get passed on through conduction into this and onto the globe, and then build up on the globe. So it's literally quite the same as you rubbing your feet against the rug. It's charging in much the same way, just at a faster rate using a motor, but builds up a static charge using charging by friction.